It is 9:39 on the Liz Callaway Show with Nick Summers. Welcome to your Monday morning. And you know, this is a great way to get your week started, and it's talking about your destiny. But sometimes we have life's obstacles that get in the way, things that have hurt you, or in some way, maybe you've done something wrong. We had a conversation, remember, Nick, last week, a really deep conversation we had with someone who also wrote a book, and it was just really, really moving. He was a congressman that had an affair, and it blew up his whole life, his professional life, and then we started talking about how to move on from that. Yeah. And Cory Nathaniel Howard, I met him a few years ago, and I've seen him regularly. He comes to the Rooster a lot. But
good food. I love it.
Well, we got to talking, and of course, I saw on Facebook that he wrote a book, and the book is called Deep Wounds and Destiny: Maximize Your Potential. It's available everywhere, and you can find it on Amazon. So I said, hey, you got to come on this the show and talk about this book. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. This is awesome. I know both of you all have done so much for this community, and you all always love, helping people, serving people, and that's really my heart. My heart is to help and serve and encourage and inspire as many people as possible.
And you have a church.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
The church, it's just unbelievable. God, he just moved. We did a beach worship, and before coming to Myrtle Beach, before 2020, crazy year,
yes.
I used to pastor in Trinidad, and God actually told me come to Myrtle Beach, came here, and then all of a sudden everything was lining up for me to pastor again, and I actually came to the city not to do this. I was actually in my heart running from leading and serving and that type of thing, and God make it happen, which means to me, you can't run from your destiny.
And that's how you met your future bride.
Yes. Halise, my adorable, lovely, amazing, I am the most luckiest, blessed man on planet Earth. She, we met in the process of serving and helping people. God connected us. We're going to be married in a couple months. So
I watched your entire engagement online. Very touching. I mean, every girl should be lucky enough to have a guy go through a half an hour proposal about how many ways that he loves you. But yeah, that was amazing. And I learned a lot about you from that proposal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
a lot of things I didn't know. When I also read your book, now I know even more about you. So you wrote this book for what reason?
So I've seen so many people suffer either in walking out their destinies or in their wounds. So I've seen a lot of people are killing it in life. They're all about going to the next level. Maybe it's a business, it's ministry, it's helping, it's serving. They're trying to do what they're put on earth to do. That can be being a parent, that can be being a leader, wherever. But then so many people struggle behind the scenes with deep wounds. They struggle and they don't show that they're depressed, they're wounded. I believe every person have some form of wound. And it may be something that's really traumatic, or it may be an environment that you grew up that your emotional needs were not met, or you were, just taken for granted. But everyone has a deep wound. Everyone is struggling with something on the inside. And so my heart in writing this is to help people that are struggling. I'm hurting on the inside right now. I want to help people. I want to be the best mother. I want to be the best father. I want to be the best leader. I want to do what I'm supposed to do, but my emotions kill me sometimes. I feel like I'm dying sometimes. Yeah. And so I know this is the story of many people because it's been my story. I've been preaching since I'm 12, pastoring since I'm 17, and I'm not tooting my horn. I'm saying that during those times, I was suffering on the inside, deeply wounded, bleeding, while trying to help people, while trying to be the best that God created me to be. And I know so many people, they struggle with that. And so deep wounds and destiny, I believe, are interconnected. And I believe when you heal more your deep wounds, you accomplish more of your destiny. And the more you accomplish your destiny, I believe the more you help others with their deep wounds. And it's just beautiful. It's like a fuel. They both work together.
Yeah. Well, I often feel nothing happens by accident, and that oftentimes we have some sort of trauma in our life, a relationship, or somebody does something to us, or we do something really wrong, or and you think that you're never going to come back from it, or it changes your trajectory, and now you're on that path. And it seems like it's by design, and it's almost like God is trying to bring your attention to, like, you're focusing on the wrong thing, and it's almost like, here's this now, where are you going to go? And we have free will to do whatever we want with our life. And so we can go in any direction. I mean, there are things that are against the law, but it doesn't stop people from doing bad things or great things. And so life is about choices. So when you have a deep wound, some people don't even realize that they have that wound. Did you, give us an example of I read many situations in your book, scary things, especially for a young child to go through. But what was it that made you think, like, well, maybe I was wounded by that? Like, I just kept going with my life. It just bulldozed through my life. I didn't realize I was even wounded. When did you realize you were actually wounded? That
is a really good question, because I was unaware. So I always use this as an example. In America, this word hijack is very known. And sometimes, you get in an argument with someone or something, and then like 2 days later, you're like, oh, crap, I need to go and apologize, right? But in that moment, you are hijacked by something. You're hijacked by ego or pride. You wanted to win the conversation, and it can go into so many different areas where you look back and you're like, man, I need to go back and like say I'm sorry and stuff like that. Well, I believe pain hijacks us as well, and trauma hijacks us as well. So for me in my life, fam, I went through years, couple of decades. I know I'm only 26, but like I didn't even realize that my childhood actually had hijacked a lot of my responses, my decisions, and this is like, there's nothing such as a buried wound that stays dead. Like buried,
ignoring it doesn't, you have to deal with it,
and so you absolutely, and this is where like in religious circles, they don't really talk about it. It kind of like they say suppress that, ignore that, but there's nothing such as an unexpressed emotion. There's nothing such as a wound buried that dies. So you're going to express it, if not through your words, with your behaviors. And that right there, when I look back at my life, I'm like, wow, I can see so many decisions, so many things I've done because of that pain and that hurt. And so, I got in a car wreck when I was 2 years old, and my body was broken up and stuff like that, right? And my whole body my head was busted open, and I went through like some traumatic things immediately after that, like within that same month. And so when
you were how old?
2 years old.
2.
So when I was 2, this happened. And in that exact month, I had a few traumatic things happen. So my body's trying to heal physically. My head is busted open. The doctor said my brain is literally damaged. Like I won't be able to talk and all of this stuff, right?
Wow.
I'll never be able to walk. And so in the midst of that, I had traumatic things happen. So what happened in that time, that 2-year-old buddy, is that I became so strong, and I overcame it by God's grace. I believe God healed me, right? With God healing me, I believe my body also biologically wired itself towards being strong. So what I didn't realize is that where certain people will go through tough things and cry, and like that's the normal response. You should cry. God give you emotions. Like even Jesus wept. I don't.
You don't cry?
No, I'm saying in the past, I realized that I don't, because my body got so strong that in many situations where you would respond like a human, because of that traumatic moment when I was 2, I'm strong and I would like bounce back. And that's not always a good thing. That's not always a good thing. Right. So that traumatic moment at 2 followed me through many years and many seasons of my life where I should have been sad, or I should have reached out for help, or should have asked someone to encourage me. But I was like, macho man, strong, let's go. But that came from 2, and I realized it now. And I'm like, wow, I didn't have to be that, like project strength or try to portray this confidence. All of that came from my trauma at 2, when I can't even remember that, but my body did. And I look back at my behaviors and I'm like, I see it now.
Right. We're speaking with Cory Howard, the author of Deep Wounds and Destiny, Maximize Your Potential. It's available on Amazon. He also, tell us a little bit about your church, where it is.
We are on Highway 17 right opposite Palmetto. I'm really bad at directions.
Okay.
I'm still from Trinidad. My brain is wired towards how we live. I still have a hard time with navigation. But we're on Highway 17. We're right opposite Palmetto on the building called Tidal Max.
Okay.
So if you're in
okay.
17 and you see Tidal Max,
Gotcha.
we're on that building.
All
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
down by Palmetto Point Boulevard.
Yes.
And what's the name of the church?
You are loved.
Now, talking about love,
Yes.
you say in the book that love begins with how you love yourself.
Yeah.
And having self-awareness is what brings you to the attention of your deep wounds.
Right.
And that way you can get on the power of destiny.
Right.
And what I love about the book is the way you talk about getting to your destiny, because that's what it is, living to your God's full potential
Right.
meant for you. Discovering your destiny, developing it, deploying it,
Yes.
and dominating it.
Yeah.
So you bring people on this path. What is it that people need to do to discover?
Ooh, that's really good. So for me, I wanted to share something when you were talking about love. I look at Jesus, and Jesus went on the cross, right? The most painful, traumatic
Yeah.
thing that any human being ever did. So a lot of times when we look at pain, we think pain is just like this thing to avoid. But actually, without pain, you won't know that something is hurting, or you need to, change
That's
something
true.
physically. So pain is not always a bad thing.
Right.
Jesus endured the greatest pain, the most suffering ever. And I believe there's like greater truths in the cross and in what Jesus' life that that is possible to live in. So in that place of pain, in that place of love, because he was doing it because he loved us, right? So in that place of deep wounds and destiny, that's where he showed us like how much he loved us. And so for me, you said that I quoted in the book that in order to have true love, you have to start with loving yourself. I can't love me right if I don't know what my value is, how love I really am. So until I see that God thinks I'm worth dying for and I am loved to death and back by Jesus, I won't be able to love me that way. And a lot of people live their entire life and they don't know that they're absolutely loved. And they're loved by a God who will die for them. Like the star breeder. Like just think about this. We're in Myrtle Beach. The one who told the waves, all right, you're going to stop right here. Like God, right? The one who carved the canyons and caused Mount Everest to rise up. Him came and died for you and I because he loves us. And so when you understand how loved you are, I think that begins your discovery in your destiny, because you're not here accidentally. You're here because a God that absolutely, unconditionally, relentlessly loves you, intend for you to be here. I'm going to tell you something, Liz. You are a God idea. Before you were born, God thought about you.
Yeah.
You're not accidental. Nick, you're not like the consequence of some cosmic collision. God intentionally. Yeah, right? Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Right? God intentionally and meticulously made you. So when you understand how loved you are, that then makes you, because there's a lot of people you can tell, and you hear so many people talking about destiny and purpose, and it's just like cliche. But until you know how loved you are, you won't actually truly believe that, whoa, I have destiny. Intentionally made by God. What?
Yeah. Well, I feel so lucky to have Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel bad for people who don't.
Come on.
And for people who purposefully avoid it.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel bad for them. And I feel sad for them because they don't have that feeling, because a lot of people, and there's a song about it, looking for love in all the wrong places.
Right.
They're not, we often look for external validation that we're loved.
Yeah.
And that's not where it is. We're all born with it.
Yeah.
And people just spend their entire lives looking for it.
Yeah.
We had someone on the PCRX Mobile Outfitters text line, somebody very spiritual person, love this lady. So do you, Liz, Laura Baronski, beautiful voice.
Yeah.
She said, and she picked this up from you, she's, the lessons we learn only help us reach others. God uses our brokenness to build his kingdom.
Yes, absolutely. That's game, that's fire, whoever that is.
That's Laura Baronski.
Laura, thank you. That is absolutely true. We don't need to walk and live in our lives as victims of our past. I like to tell people that I no longer see my trauma as trauma. I see it as triumphs, baby. Hey, all my hurts and pains, I'm now using that to help, to serve more people. Some of the things I went through in my life, I'm kind of happy that it happened now, because it helps me to love and serve more people and give to more people. And like she said, build the kingdom.
Yeah.
Can I answer that question about discovery? So when you believe, you ask, right, how do I take that first step? So when you believe you're loved, you're intentionally made by God, then you start asking yourself, okay, what did God intentionally place within you? So your gifts, right? And it's simple, but your gifts were intentionally wired within you. The Bible says he knit you in your mother's womb. So your gifts, your talents, the way you process your temperament, like your whole biology, God intentionally made you. So when you look at how you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, that highlights to you the areas and the things that aggravate you. The things that aggravate you might be your assignment. Goliath aggravated David, and David was like, let me at him. Let me at him, right?
Yeah.
And that frustration was actually the thing that led him to what he was created to do, which was be the king of Israel. So you're agitated.
I often say that.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let me at him.
Yes.
Well, Cory, always an absolute joy to speak with you. I want more. Cory Howard, Deep Wounds and Destiny, Maximize Your Potential. We'll have to come back. Have you come back? We have
Absolutely.
like 4 other like categories here to talk about. You can find this book on Amazon or pick it up probably at your church.
Well, I usually do everything through Amazon, so
Okay.
yes.
At Amazon.
At Amazon.
Well, thank you, Cory. Appreciate
Thank
your
you
time.
all. This is awesome.
And Tim wants to say hello to you. He knows you very well.
Tim, I love you. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate this.